You don't realize it at first. You just think you feel things deeply, that you care too much, that life without intensity feels empty. You say you crave passion, honesty, depth. But beneath those words, there's something else. A restlessness you can't name. You call it emotion, you call it love. But it's really chaos. Not the loud, violent kind, the quiet kind that creeps in through unpredictability, through the ups and downs of connection, through the thrill of not knowing what will happen next. You've mistaken peace for boredom and stability for dullness. You've confused comfort with danger and danger with love. Emotional chaos is seductive. It gives you a rush. It makes you feel alive. Every argument, every apology, every reconciliation feeds something inside you, a loop that feels like passion but is actually panic dressed in romance. You tell yourself it's because you're sensitive, because you love deeply, but what you're really addicted to is the fluctuation, the high and the crash, the cycle of pain and relief. It's not love, it's adrenaline. It's your nervous system craving the familiar rhythm of unpredictability. Maybe you grew up in a house where peace didn't last long, where affection came with tension, where silence meant something was wrong. So calmness became suspicious and chaos became home. You learned that love could turn sharp at any moment, that emotions were weapons, that comfort wasn't safe. So now, as an adult, when things are too calm, you feel uneasy. When someone is too kind, you question their motives. When life is too stable, you start waiting for something to go wrong. You sabotage, not because you want to, but because chaos feels like certainty. You don't crave drama, you crave familiarity. You crave what your nervous system recognizes as normal. When you're used to emotional turbulence, the absence of it feels like emptiness. So you stir the waters just to feel something. You overthink, you provoke, you chase, you pull away. You create movement where there is none, because stillness feels unbearable. You don't know how to exist in quiet love, because quiet love doesn't trigger the chemical storm you've come to mistake for connection. You tell yourself that chaos means passion, that fighting means you care, that the emotional highs are proof of depth. But what if that's not love? What if that's trauma replaying itself through the body, searching for resolution? What if you're addicted not to the person, but to the pattern? The rush of uncertainty, the relief of reconciliation, the fragile peace before the next storm. You say you want calm, but calm doesn't give you the same emotional hit. You want stability, but stability feels foreign. You think you want love, but what you've learned to chase is chaos. Addiction to emotional chaos isn't about choice, it's about conditioning. Your brain gets wired to expect emotional volatility. It becomes addicted to cortisol and dopamine, to the tension and the release. You start equating intensity with intimacy. You think someone yelling means they care. You think someone pulling away means they're worth chasing. You think love is supposed to make you anxious, but real love doesn't make you anxious. It makes you safe. It doesn't create chaos. It calms it. You attract people who feed this addiction, the ones who run hot and cold, the ones who love you today and disappear tomorrow, the ones who pull you close just to push you away. They feel like home because they speak the emotional language your body already knows. The unpredictability keeps you hooked. You keep telling yourself it's fate, but it's not fate. It's familiarity, the same old pattern wearing a new face. And here's the cruel irony. When you finally meet someone who doesn't play those games, someone who shows up consistently, you feel nothing. You call them too calm, too predictable. You say there's no spark. But the truth is, the spark you're missing is the anxiety you used to mistake for passion, the storm you've been calling love. Healing from emotional chaos feels like withdrawal. It's quiet. It's uncomfortable. It feels wrong. Your body craves the highs and lows, the push and pull. You start to miss the intensity, even the pain, because at least it made you feel something. But peace doesn't feel like excitement. It feels like unfamiliar safety. And that's what makes healing so hard. You have to relearn what love feels like without the chaos. You have to teach your nervous system that stability isn't danger, that kindness isn't manipulation, that consistency isn't a trap. You have to learn to stay when things are calm. You have to learn to love the quiet. You have to stop equating comfort with loss, because the real loss isn't the chaos you're leaving behind. It is the peace you've been denying yourself for years. When you stop feeding your addiction to emotional chaos, you'll feel empty for a while. You'll feel lost. You'll feel like something is missing. But that emptiness isn't a sign that you've done something wrong. It's space. It's the space where peace begins to grow. It's the silence you've never allowed yourself to sit in. And the more you stay there, the more your heart starts to slow down, the more your body begins to trust calmness again. You'll start to see that real love doesn't spike, it steadies. It doesn't make you dizzy, it grounds you. It doesn't burn, it warms. And once you taste that, you'll realize that chaos was never love. It was longing, it was fear. It was the echo of your old pain trying to feel alive. It's not your fault you got addicted to the noise. It's not your fault you learned to associate love with pain. You were just trying to survive. You were doing the best you could with what you were taught. But you're not a child anymore. You don't have to live inside that storm. You can choose peace, even if it feels unnatural. You can choose to stop chasing what hurts just because it's familiar. You can choose to unlearn the language of chaos. The next time you feel that familiar pull towards someone who makes you anxious, pause. Don't call it chemistry, call it recognition. Your body recognizes the pattern. It's not love, it's memory. It's your nervous system trying to replay the same story in hopes of rewriting the ending. But the ending doesn't change by finding a different person. It changes when you decide to stop playing the same role. Peace will test you. It will bore you at first. It will frustrate you. You'll miss the adrenaline, the unpredictability, the emotional high. You'll want to run back to what you know. But if you stay long enough, peace will start to feel like relief. Stability will start to feel like safety. You'll stop waiting for the storm because you'll finally realize you were never meant to live in one. The addiction to emotional chaos fades slowly. It fades every time you choose not to chase, every time you let silence be silence instead of trying to fill it, every time you choose kindness over control, every time you remind yourself that love doesn't need to hurt to feel real, and one day you'll meet someone who feels like peace. You won't have to guess where you stand. You won't have to overanalyze their words. You won't have to beg for reassurance. Their presence will feel steady, quiet, safe. And you will realize that this calmness you once feared is what love was supposed to feel like all along. The chaos will stop feeling romantic. The drama will stop feeling exciting. You'll stop mistaking uncertainty for connection, and you'll finally understand that what you called love was really the addiction to its absence. When you heal from emotional chaos, you reclaim your power. You stop being pulled by fear. You stop mistaking survival for love. You stop living on the edge of your own heart. You start coming home, to stillness, to peace, to yourself. And that's when the addiction ends. Not when you find someone new, but when you no longer crave what hurt you. When calm feels safe. When quiet feels full. When love no longer feels like chaos, but like coming home. Because the truth is, peace was never boring. You were just too used to mistaking pain for meaning.